Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Behind the Uni, brought to you by the University of Gloucestershire, the podcast that covers everything to do with student life with your hosts, Hisham and Lewis. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome back to the Behind the Uni podcast brought to you by the University of Gloucestershire. My name is Hisham and I'm your host today, and we have a very, very special episode because we are live from Park Campus at our first ever Autumn Open Day for 2022, and we've got a great panel of creative industries students today. We're here to obviously talk everything university, from saving money to securing funding or what uni life at Uni of Glos is like. So we'll jump right in and I'm going to ask our panelists to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Bevan. I'm a third year journalism student. I'm originally from Devon, and I think that's the basics about me.
Hi, I'm Ben Pearson. I'm a third year sound and music production student, and I'm originally from Winchester.
I'm Imogen Christie. I am a film production student and I'm in my second year. I am originally from Salisbury, so just down the road.
Just down the road, nice, like hop and a skip away. I like that.
Yeah,
well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your Sunday to join me here at Park Campus. You're all based here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you like the campus? Do you love it?
I think it's the best one, to be honest.
I agree too.
Yeah.
But
All
I
the
think
other ones are a bit rusty.
I think that will cause some controversy. There's a spider on my thing, that's fine. Hi, little one. But thank you so much for introducing yourself, and I kind of want to jump in straight away. Obviously, university is such a bespoke experience for so many people, from the beginning right through to graduation. So I want to start off by kind of hearing your journey of how you started university. What was it like? Did you apply through the traditional way of UCAS? Did you come to open days? I'll start off with Ben. What was it like for you?
So basically, when I was in college, my college was very pushing me towards uni, and I really did not want to go. So I didn't apply through my college, and I took a year out to really figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And then COVID happened, and I was like, maybe I should go to uni, because I had so much free time thinking because I was sat at home.
It was a lot of self-reflection.
Yeah,
I think,
a lot of
COVID.
self-reflection. And I was like, the only way I'm going to go to uni is if the course is absolutely made for me. Because I didn't want to be one of those people who just went to uni for the sake of it, because it's a lot of money. And if I'm not getting something significant out of it at the end, it's not really worth it.
Yeah.
So I applied around. My top three choices were Bournemouth, Huddersfield, and here. Nice. And when I came for my interview, the place just blew me away. Like, the amount of opportunities and how experienced the lecturers were, it was just like, it was a no-brainer really to come here. So that's why I chose it. And then I applied just by myself a year later with the help from my parents, and got my interview and then got my place. So
amazing.
What's that?
That sounds lovely. I would like to say none of these students are paid to say any of that stuff.
I wish.
Yeah,
If you want to give me some money at the end.
maybe, who knows? If Squarespace sponsor us or something, who knows? But it's so lovely to hear that, because we'll discuss this. It's all about your experience and what life is like for you. Imogen, what was your journey like to applying to university?
So I applied whilst I was at college. I deferred for a year and that ended up being COVID year. I basically wanted to apply whilst I was still at college because I knew I'd have the support of
It's
my
a lot
teachers
easier,
there.
honestly.
Yeah, and so I wasn't even sure what I wanted to do, but when I kind of figured out that film production was probably the avenue I wanted to go down, the important parts for me were making sure that there was basically good student comments on the unis.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and as you
It's a
said,
good indicator.
Yeah, as you said, the lecturers, specifically with film production, I'm assuming with all the creative industries, they're still active.
Oh yeah, all of my lecturers are still doing stuff outside of uni. So.
Yeah,
That's what drew me to come here.
Yeah, and so I thought that was a massive one for me, of knowing that these lecturers aren't just people who like to teach.
Yeah.
They are actually people who are still working.
Especially for creative industries, it's way better if they have active experience rather than just being an academic. I'd say.
Yeah, and they were talking about it in the course talk, about how it meant that in COVID times they knew exactly what was required in the industry to meet these COVID restriction standards.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a perfect example.
I think it's one of those things, a lot of people think of university as just okay, cool, you apply, you move into halls, you enjoy welcome week, and then you go to lectures. But I always say that the university experience is way beyond what you do in your lectures. It's the added value of having connections with industry experts who are adapting or very agile to changing things. Lucy, what was it like for you? How did you apply to university? Were you always set on coming to uni? Did you change your mind? What was the journey like?
No, I never wanted to go to uni. I think because, similar to Ben, my sixth form really pushed it on us to go to uni because obviously it makes them look a lot better. I really did not want to go, but for everyone else's sake, I went to the open days and I still didn't want to go. I knew what apprenticeship I wanted.
Yep.
And then I came for an open day here. It just kind of popped up and I was like, do you know what, I'll go for it. My mum really convinced me. And it's so weird, like literally as soon as I got out the car, I just felt at home. It was the weirdest feeling because I wanted to prove a point that I was not going to go to uni. Like subconsciously in my head, I was like, I'm going to hate it, you're going to hate it, you're going to hate it. And then I had the best day. I loved it. Walking around, I just felt so supported already before I'd even met anyone. And it just had a really warm family feel. Like I think there was another uni I went to an open day at, which really put me off uni. And then I came here and it was the complete opposite. And yeah, that warm feeling, I think that homely feel is what drew me to go to uni and was the reason why I chose to come here in the end.
And I think this is why open days are so important because we've mentioned this on the podcast before, we're very open about the fact that there are so many universities out there and every university offers something different to certain students. There are some students that really want that big city feel, but there are some students that come to Uni of Glos who want that big city feel in a small town.
There's a good mix here, I think.
There's a great mix.
Uni.
And then you've got Cheltenham and Gloucester, like you've literally got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And edge. Obviously coming to university, moving away from home is a daunting experience. A lot of people had to do it over the years and every year it changes. Like some of you have started with COVID, which obviously was a challenge in its own. But when you started university or coming to university, were you ever worried about how you were going to fund your time at uni? Were you worried about money? Lucy, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think I don't think I thought about it enough really until I got to uni.
Yeah,
I think
same.
possibly as well because we were during COVID and I had saved up a lot of money previous. But I think definitely there could have been more done in the schools on how to budget, how to cook meals for the week, to bulk make. I mean, I was lucky that my parents taught me how to do that. From a young age, I was taught how to cook, how to clean. But I know a lot of parents don't have enough time to teach their children how to do that.
Yeah.
But I definitely think, just simple things, learning how to freeze meals, like getting Chinese pots. I don't know if you guys do that.
Yeah,
but like,
that's good, and you're recycling and reusing plastic.
So
that's
I'll
great.
make a massive thing of chili, like chili con carne is my favourite meal.
Love
That
that.
sounds good.
Yes.
It's a classic.
Chunky chili. So portion that up, put it in the freezer, and it does. I think meal planning is the way to go. You will save so much more money that way instead of just pop into Lidl because I fancy this, I fancy that. And even though Lidl's cheap, it does all add up.
It racks up.
Yeah, and I think first year you do get a bit carried away with, I've got my own money, I can do my own food shop.
Yeah, Deliveroo every day.
Wow,
That's what I do.
the sweet aisle looks fantastic today.
You say that, we've discussed this on the podcast before. I am guilty of that idea of like, I used to call it buy as you go. Like, I'll just sort it out tomorrow,
It's so bad.
But because like after you finish lectures, you're so tired, you're like, I'm just gonna get another takeaway. I spent, this is gonna shock you, $3,000 within the first 2 weeks of university. I say it worked all, I know. Bro. It's crazy though. I saved so much money when I was working before starting university, and looking back at it now, yes, I regret it. I had a great time. I had a great time while doing it, but I regret it. And I wish I had that advice from school, like how to budget and all that stuff. Now going to uni, you learn those like life skills.
Yeah.
Imogen, what was like your experience like with budgeting? Did you have idea of how to budget? Are you still figuring it out?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of had a chat about how I'm still figuring it out.
It's horrible.
It is.
It's really horrible.
And you're right. They just do not give the right education, like pre-university, because I had no idea. And people say, maybe it's your parents' job to teach you that. But as you said, they don't always have time.
Yeah.
Like, if your parents are dealing with a lot, working full time, they're probably going out and doing the shop themselves.
Yeah.
And, there's no opportunity for you to sit there and go with them. And for them to say, okay, well, I'm buying this because of this, and these are the ways that I plan our weekly food and things. I think meal planning is really good with budgeting, and also I think not restricting the nice things has helped me.
It's important.
Because the more I, especially in first year, the more I said no to, going out for a drink or getting that, packet of 12 bites or, getting the desserts or even the takeaway, the more I said no, the more when I finally broke and was like, God, I need these things, I actually ended up spending more on them.
Yeah, because you're binging.
Yeah, literally. And so for me, it was like, if I see those mini rolls and I want them, I'll fit them in, I'll make it work.
Yeah, and it's...
So that then in 3 weeks' time, I'm not buying 5 packets of mini rolls because I'm so desperate. I think the whole thing of just like
spreading it out.
Everything in moderation is really good, especially with budgeting and as well with the going out. Let yourself go out for 1 or 2 drinks. It's possible. You don't have to get wasted every time.
Tell my housemates that, please.
But it's one of those things, like, I think that's a great piece of advice for anyone listening or live or online on Spotify or YouTube. Everything in moderation for the university is, I think, a great piece of advice because it applies to everything. Like, don't overdo going out, don't overdo spending money, don't overdo studying because it obviously burns you out, you won't retain information well. It's a great piece of advice.
Nobody teaches you that before you go to uni, I don't think.
No, but again, there's the classic case of, like I've said already, added value in university. Like, you learn so many life lessons. I mean, I definitely have. Like, looking back at 18-year-old Hish when he started university in 2016 to where I am now, night and day of a human being, like, completely different. And I guess it takes us quite nicely onto our next topic. Like, both of you are in your 3rd year, you're in your 2nd year, come to you in a moment. But Lucy, what was it like looking back at where you started university to where you are now?
I was a completely different person.
Yeah.
I hated first year with a passion, like literally hated it. I think it's really weird, like I wasn't homesick and people would say, oh, you're just homesick, I wasn't. It sounds so cringe, but I genuinely didn't know who I was. Like, I thought I was really independent and my parents have always brought me up to be really independent, which I'm really thankful for. But I came to uni and it was like, it was the first time where I had to just be me and be with myself, and I didn't really know who that was. I think you go through school finding the person that's going to fit in best, who's going to get the most friends. There's that whole thing of school about being popular and trying to fit in. And I found it really scary and really daunting finding out who I was. So once I got over that, I began to enjoy uni more once I figured out what I liked, who I was, what I was interested in. But I think if I could go back to my first year self, it's just take the time to just chill out. Like, there's really no pressure. I put so much pressure on myself I had to go out to every social event, I had to make friends, I had to do this, I had to be good at uni. Whereas if you need to go home and see your parents, you need to go home. If you want to sit in your room and cry for the night, sit in your room and cry for the night, put 100%. Netflix on, put a face mask on. Like, it's okay. Yeah, like, it's okay to find the first year challenging. Like, I think there's so much pressure on first year's got to be the best year of your life. You've got to make great memories.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that thought. Because you've got 3 years to enjoy. Why you got to...
Yeah, and I look back at my first year and I think, do you know what? That was a really horrible time for me, the start of it. But I've grown from that and I've learnt from that, and I'm now thankful for that really difficult year because I'm the person who I am today.
Amazing.
And I've had the best uni experience now because of that. So.
Love that.
That's good.
Ben, what about you? What would you tell young Ben 3 years ago?
Well, 19-year-old Ben just wanted to get out of Winchester, to be honest.
Fair enough. And
a
lot of people do that. Like, I definitely wanted to go to uni to get out of home. I was like, I need new experiences, new people also people who have the same way of thinking as me. Like, when you're in school, I always find it really funny. When you're in school, you're thrown in a group of people randomly because of your postcode.
Yeah, literally.
Like, there is bound to be major creative differences, like thought differences. But when you come to a course, you're studying with people that actually like the same things as you.
Exactly, that's what I found because I wanted to do music, and especially like in the hip hop genre. Yeah. And where I'm from in Winchester, their average age is like 65-year-old white men. So the only thing that's going on there is like pubs and like weekly like comedy nights or something, right? So I found it really difficult to find like my people. Like, I have really good friends back home, but not in the, like, we don't share similar like creative interests. Like, we're very close, but we're very different people. So when I came here and I started my course, I now have this amazing group of friends, and we all love the same thing. Like, we're all DJs, we're all music producers. Like, it's just so nice to find people who actually care about what you're doing. And I really found that here. And when I first came, I was sort of saying yes to everything. Like, I'm a very outgoing person, so I was also like, go in. But it was until I actually, because in COVID, I didn't get to see my course much. But in second year, specifically, when I actually got to see my course and interact with people a lot, it really like brought the people who were similar to me closer.
Did it make you feel more creative? Did you feel more creative when that happened?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, going from just creating alone to having people you can bounce ideas off is just amazing. So it was just so nice to finally find people who get me. And like, I am a very like strong-willed person, so I always kind of back myself, and I've never been insecure about a lot of things. Yeah. But it's just sort of finding the people who make you better is always going to improve you in the long run. So
that's so cool.
It was just very nice to meet people of similar thoughts, really.
I love that. And Imogen, you are on a film production course, which is at its core a very collaborative environment, and there's there's a big number of you. But how have you felt in terms of like getting your ideas out there? How do you have the chance to like express yourself? How have you found that?
Oh, I think, as you said, being around people who are not creatively inclined in the same way you are, versus being around people who are, everything feels like a creative conversation. Nice. And so, you know, even if we're just chatting about what's going on in each other's lives, you know, because of the environment that you're in, your mind is just buzzing as a result. My hometown friends, we all do completely different things, and so when I'm at home, it's such a different environment. You know, we've got law degree, dentistry, geography, and acting. They're all pretty, you know, they're all quite
as far
different.
apart as you can
that
get.
Sounds like
exactly.
That sounds like the start of a joke.
And it works great, like we're such good friends, but then coming to uni and being around people who are here for the same reason you are, and, you know, talking about literally anything, their previous work, your previous work, your aspirations, you know, pitching in lectures and stuff like that is also, the lecturers encourage everyone to pitch.
That's cool.
So you really get, you know, you get to hear everyone's idea, and I think specifically with my cohort on my course, everyone knows everyone, and I think it's a really lovely environment. I feel like we all feel really comfortable to pitch anything from, you know, A to B. People are really happy to do that, and I think that's a really lovely environment.
Yeah, well, adding on to that, like, because my course is split into like 3 different sections, so I'm on sound and music production, but there's also a popular music and music business, which are 2 completely separate courses. Popular music's more like performance people, and then business is people who aren't creatively inclined but really like music and just sort of want to get into the industry.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah. So like with my like lecturers, they make everybody work together. So the producers will help out the performers, like the music business people will like manage the performers, create events, and it's just sort of like a nice like symbiotic relationship between all 3 of the courses, and it just really expands the whole like your network, because you meet a lot more people on these courses you probably wouldn't meet if you didn't have these joint courses. Yeah, for sure. So especially on creative industries, like I'd say networking is more important than the actual degree in some sense, because like when you get out, like the more connections you know, the more job opportunities you'll have. And if you just come out with a degree at the end of it, like great, you got the degree, but now you've got to do even more groundwork trying to find people who actually want to employ you. So
that's a very good point. And Lucy, I would love to hear your thoughts on kind of networking, and how have you felt like the university supported you in that element? Have you felt like your lecturers provide you with some sort of opportunities to network?
Yeah, so before I came to uni, I came from a really small seaside town, so there was really not a lot available to us. The opportunities are very limited, and I didn't really ever think I'd get a chance in this career, to be honest, in journalism. I thought, I'm miles away from anything, there's no chance. So coming to uni, and like they were saying, being around like-minded people, it opens so many doors going to uni for one. That's 100%. Why I'm so glad I went. But my lecturers have been extremely helpful. I mean, we have, I don't know if you guys are the same, but we've got like work placement modules. Yep. But the whole way from the start, they push it on you, go out there, get your name out there, say yes to everything. And I think that's been one of the most enjoyable things about doing the course is the amount I've done outside
It's so important.
of the course, which I think you
It's also
actually
more fun.
do more. Yeah, you do
Oh,
more
absolutely, yeah.
outside of the
more
lessons than.
I think it also kind of it shows you jobs that you would have never considered before as well. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that I've done. Like I've ran events, like I've done social media management, stuff like this for different artists. And like when I first came to uni, my whole ambition was like, I'm going to produce music. That's the only
So
thing I
it's
want to do.
opened your horizon.
But now I'm like, I can do live sound, I can do film audio, sound design, like event management,
Yeah.
artist management. Like there's just so many different things that I never even thought of before I came.
That's
and it
really cool.
also just it just allows you to broaden your perspective a little bit.
The lecturers do really help with it though. They've got contacts, and I think use them to their like best ability. I think ask them as much
That's
as you can.
100%. Like you're paying money to ultimately, yes, get an education, which is super, super important because it tells you all the theoretical things about how to be a good journalist, a good sound or musician, a good filmmaker. Like I did journalism and I'm doing my master's at the moment, but one of the best things I think that made my money so worth spending it was that I had access to those lecturers. I'd be like, I've got 1 week of work experience I need to do. Who have you got on your Rolodex of people?
They've got so many links.
They know
they
so
get
many
you
people.
going. And once you start, things you can go to one place, which
And you
sends
learn.
you to another place and sends you to another.
Exactly.
And that, building those contacts, like you were saying, is so important because I've got in contact with one person who sent me somewhere else.
Yeah.
And there's people from back home who can send you to places. So I think networking and using literally everyone around you and asking the people who you wouldn't normally ask for help and advice is definitely
It also
the way
takes
to
you out
go.
of the comfort zone, which I think is so, so important. Like I guess
Yeah.
for you, like where you were in first year of uni to where you are now,
Yeah.
those experiences making you,
Yeah.
I'm air quoting to everyone on YouTube, uncomfortable. Because
Yeah.
it's not you're uncomfortable, you're just learning more.
Yeah, well,
It
you've
makes-
never had any experience in
Exactly.
it, so you
No.
don't know what you're getting yourself into. But like the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Amazing.
So-
I'm conscious of time and I want to ask a couple more questions before we wrap up. Obviously, we touched about the idea when you come to university, budgeting and kind of taking care of yourself is not something that's taught in schools, sixth forms or colleges. So now, looking back, like in hindsight, what's the one piece of advice that you wish you knew about like managing your time, taking care of your health? I mean, it's a learning curve. Even like I said, I'm 24 and doing a master's. I'm still learning how to take care of myself constantly. But what's the one piece of advice that you wish you could give your younger self in terms of like budgeting or anything?
Don't smoke. To be honest,
That's a great piece of advice.
I wish I never did it, and now I can't stop. So that's the
100%.
issue.
I quit smoking since coming to uni, and I was smoking since I was probably 14 or 15. It was
Oh,
just
wow.
it was really normal in
But that's the
the
thing, it's
environment I was
social
in,
environment.
and that has definitely helped my bank account.
The
and
amount
my
of money
lungs.
you waste
And your mental health.
the amount your
And
health
my mental
goes
health.
down.
Yes, absolutely.
It's just not worth it, to be
Yeah.
honest. No matter how cool you think it is not cool.
I didn't even think today was going to turn into like a little don't smoke campaign, but I like it. It's a great piece of advice. Like, I mean, I stopped smoking when I was in
Well,
university.
when you do it, you're like, oh, I can't, this is all right. Like, if you're just doing it on a night out, you're saying you're like a social smoker or whatever.
It
It's like
still
fun.
makes that night out really expensive
Yeah.
though.
But it's not
But
even
it's
just
like
that.
me, one day I was doing it when I was sober.
If you can hear, we're actually in the middle of Park Campus doing a live stream, and there is a trolley of drinks that's about to pass.
If you close your eyes, we'll take you to
If you
campus.
close your eyes, we can pretend to be on campus. So we'll just kind of take a little break before it hits. Here we go.
There it goes.
It's almost like ASMR.
Yeah.
That's fine though. But this is why we want to do this. We want to do it live on campus. Like, this is the sound of Park Campus, which is fine. Yeah, I mean, it's expensive, but it's also like smoking takes a whole lot toll on your health. Like, you all work in really intense industries that need stamina, that need energy. Being on film sets for 8 to 12 hours a day is intense. That's great. Lucy, what kind of piece of advice would you give your younger self?
In terms of well-being, it's okay to say no, like I did say a little
Yes,
bit about
that's
it
it.
earlier. But if I don't want to go out now, I'm not going to go out. Sorry, I'm not going to feel peer pressured to go down 10 Jaegers. As much as I can down 10 Jaegers, and I'll challenge anyone. No, I think it's really important to listen to your body and understand when you're tired, do not push it. It's not worth it. Yes, you might have a bit of FOMO, but realistically, there's going to be 10 more nights out. I think if you really do just want to sit in, have a cup of coffee, have a cup of tea, watch Netflix.
Also, you can find a social group that it fits your
Yeah.
interest. Like you don't have to go out drinking. There's so many sober
But you can have
socializing
a
you can do.
balance. I think
100%.
going to uni before, it's this whole stigma of this party life, this you've got to be crazy, go out and do this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you've got to have, it's good to be outgoing, it's good to have fun. And I've loved every side of that, of the uni life. But I think it's also good to be able to notice in yourself when you do need to chill out and relax, because you can't, you're going to be a dead battery. You've got to,
100%.
The lectures have
Love
still
that.
got to have some energy in them.
Yeah.
So I think finding a good balance, if I could go back and tell myself, it's say no when you want to say no, for a start, to drinking, anything, but just finding out what works well for you. Everyone's going to be different, so don't feel pressured to do what everyone else is doing.
Great. Put that on a t-shirt.
I need that advice.
Snap.
I like that.
I still go out every day. My mate's like, you got to get out here, Ben. I'm like, oh.
But like
okay.
you can go out and go to the park or stuff. Like I loved.
Yeah.
Where I think in third year, where I was the president of a society. I was doing my final year project, doing work experience on the side, working a part-time job, which is like just the life of university. Like you have to balance so much. I found such joy of just simply going out there on park campus and just chilling.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm just gonna put some music on and read a book. And I know it sounds like so wholesome of me, but that's how I felt at the time, and it was really, really great.
I thought so much of uni life was like night time. I thought that's where I'd get all your
No.
experience. But I think end of second year and third year, now I'm 100% settled here, I've realised there's so much in the day that you can do to enjoy uni. Like, it's not just about night time.
Yeah.
So if I could go back to first year, that's what I would say. Make the most of the daylight. Get outside to get the fresh
Wake
air.
up early.
Yeah.
No, it's so true.
In
Set
my
an alarm.
first year, I don't think I was waking up until about
No,
5.
because we were online. Like, I would roll out of bed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
I'd turn
laptop
it on,
my bed.
and then I'd fall asleep, and the lecture would just be
it's
on.
so bad. It was so bad.
Well, things have changed now, and I think.
Yeah.
Completely, sorry,
No,
completely
continue.
linking to that, you should always trust your gut.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because what your gut says is, I mean, in my experience, looking back, has always been right. My gut will tell me, I don't want to go out tonight. But my head is telling me, you're going to miss out, you're
Yeah.
going to,
FOMO is big in university.
yeah,
It's really
huge.
difficult.
It is difficult.
And there's no one to tell you the right or wrong answer either, because I
But
don't think there is
you
one.
know what? A plot twist, there isn't one.
No.
It's all about trusting your gut,
Trusting your gut,
following
yeah.
your body's instinct. Going out is great, but it's not even just about drinking or anything. It's about like, oh, do you want to go to the cinema?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go to the cinema, do it. If you're like,
Yeah.
just sit at home. It's fine. That's okay.
One thing I will say, the good thing about uni when you're that little bit older is, if you don't like someone, you don't have to spend time with them.
Yes.
Like at school, you're stuck with them
Yeah,
because you're in
that's
that
what I mean.
close proximity.
You
At
find your
uni,
people, it's so
if you don't want
important.
to hang around, or if someone's giving you bad vibes, if someone's not making you happy and making you the best that
Yeah.
you can be, goodbye. Like, see ya. I haven't got time for that.
Amazing. I love that. It's so true. I fully agree. And I would love to know, kind of like before we wrap up a bit, is what's your favourite thing about being a Uni of Glos student? Which I know is a really loaded question. Who's got an answer? Oh, go ahead.
It's not my favourite thing, but park campus, because it's so huge and there's so much grass, and the lake and like the spring wildlife, the ducks, the tiny little ducklings. Honestly, when you were talking about like wholesome things to do,
Yeah.
for me, taking a walk around the campus and having a look at the baby geese and the baby
I love that.
ducks. Honestly, it filled me with so much calm energy, especially when at the end of last semester we were doing a lot of like intense shoot days. It was just so nice that it was there, and it was like, oh, like this is actually so available to do and completely free. And yeah, completely and utterly relaxing. And one of those things that, if you said to people who like going out, do you want to go look at some ducks? They might be a bit like,
What?
no. But
I like that, the ducks.
yeah,
The ducks are big online.
For me, that was like,
People
Yeah,
love
TikTok.
people love the
TikTok
ducks.
love the ducks.
People love
They
the
love
ducks.
the
No, I like that April Fool's joke where you put like the duck course. or
We
whatever.
pretend on April Fools in 2022 we pretended that we were going to do a duck course. You never know. We had a lot of
believed
interest.
it.
I thought it was
believed
real.
that.
I thought
Oh,
it was
yeah.
real.
We had a lot of interest. The duck course might come through. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I love it because it was like duck management, or it was like
It was
4-year
duck-
course with geese.
Exactly. Ben, what about you? What's your favourite thing about being a student here?
Oh, probably just the independence, to be honest. Like, when I'm at home, I love it, but you got to consider, like, your family. Like,
100%.
I'm a family of 5, so I've got my 2 sisters
that
who are
sounds
younger
chaotic.
than me, and my parents, so I'm always conscious about, like, not being too loud or whatever, because they've got school and stuff.
And also, yeah, you work in an industry where you need to be loud.
Yeah, exactly. And I make music, so
Yeah.
I have to, like, hear stuff. So it's just nice being able to like be in a house. Like my housemate stuck me in the basement, so I can just be as loud as I want to be.
I love that.
But yeah, just like if I'm working on a project and I'm working on it till like 3 a.m., like no one's knocking on my door being like, you need to go to bed or
Calm it
whatever.
down.
Yeah. And if I just want to do things, I feel like I can really like be more myself
100%.
at uni, because I feel like I'm sort of a watered down version of myself at home, just to appease the family. But when I'm at uni, I can just fully be myself and fully get on with what I want to be doing.
It all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Lucy, what about you? What's your favourite thing?
I think two things. I think one, I found friends that I never thought I'd find, like best friends that I know. I can see one over there. That is like going to be in like my life for the rest of my life. She doesn't really have a choice. I'm going to force her to be there. And I think the family feel. I think I'm a really independent person, but it's nice to know when I want that hug and that bubble wrap, it is there if I want it.
So awesome.
But yeah, I think if you're everyone that says they're completely independent isn't being 100% being honest. I think everyone needs their hand
support.
being held at some point.
Also, asking for help is not a sign of being dependent.
Which
It's
I
a
was
sign
so
of
embarrassed to
confidence.
admit.
A sign of confidence. Being confident to be like, hey, I'm struggling. Help me. Whether it's mental health, work, advice, or even just carrying stuff up the stairs. You know, it's really, really important to be able to do that.
This uni's perfect for that.
Part of that independence is knowing yourself and knowing when it's time to reach out and get someone who's an expert to try and, whether it is, as you said, like money, mental health, anything, being independent, that's part of it, is knowing yourself well enough and knowing that it's okay to ask for that help.
100%. It's we've definitely spoken about this topic in our podcast all the time. It's like knowing that there is support whenever you need it, whether it's from the university. But I also say the greatest foundation of support is your friends and the people around you. 100%. So it's really cool to like
help
hear
each other
that.
and use each other in the nicest way possible.
Yeah, because you'll be a shoulder to cry on for someone, and then they'll be a shoulder for you to cry on at some point. It's so nice, and I mean, I'm so sad that we're going to have to wrap up this soon because it's such a nice conversation. But thank you so much for joining. And before we wrap up and do all the official stuff at the end, we always ask our audience and our students, what is the most student meal that you've ever cooked? And we've had some, I've heard some of your student meals, and I'm really excited for the world to be exposed to your answers because they're very, very funny. So we'll start off with Ben, and we go to Imogen, then Lucy.
The worst.
It doesn't have to be bad, it's just like the most like an adult will not cook this.
Yeah, well, there was a time for a while where I had no food in my house, so I'd literally just survive off coffee and cigarettes for like
That's
3
not healthy,
days.
but fair enough.
It was horrendous. It was literally just pure
European
Nobody
breakfast.
Nobody else
pure
follow.
caffeine just getting me through life.
I would like to say that the University of Gloucestershire would like to distance itself from Ben's eating habits.
Yeah, do not go.
behaviour's
Whatever
not
I've said,
encouraged.
do not follow this advice because I would not wish it on anyone.
Amazing.
I'm just here.
Imogen, what's your student meal?
I mean, it's the same as yours.
It's the best meal.
It is.
It is
Marmite
elite.
pasta. I've been eating it literally since, like, for as long as I can remember. I used to go to, like, Ask, the restaurant, and...
Have you got Marmite?
Well, my parents would bring Marmite, and they'd be
wow.
like, cook plain
That's
pasta.
dedication, Christ.
And then they just put them on, because I love it that much.
I love
and,
that.
If I'm
Wow.
ever sad, Marmite pasta. If I'm
I
stressed,
mean, I've said it on the
Marmite
podcast
pasta.
before. It's a really easy and like a flavoursome like meal, and if you really want to like amp it up, put some garlic bread on the side. And it really is just I love it. If anyone's listening or watching, go make some Marmite pasta right now. It will
Seriously,
change your
try
life.
it. Seriously.
What about you, Lucy? I mean, I've heard it, and it's
the
interesting.
one I tell people is beans and pasta with curry powder in.
That's wild.
Right, don't just try it. It is good, but the one that I'm embarrassed to admit is when I literally had nothing in the cupboards or in the fridge. I had like a pepper that was, when they're going off and they're really soft and squidgy, which basically means don't eat it. And it had colours on there which weren't pepper colours. So I took it out the fridge, cut it in half, and then put loads of salt and pepper on it and ate it. And that was my lunch for like 2 days.
I would like to say
That is so bad.
it's
I'm
brave.
so
It's
bad.
very, very brave. But if there are any students out there who study at the University of Gloucestershire and you have no food or anything, come to campus, speak to the help zone. They'll feed you. because that is not worth
No,
it.
because I was too embarrassed to say anything. And then I literally, till today, I've literally never told anyone that because it's...
So you decided to
that
tell
is not-
everyone.
no, but that is not a substantial meal. Like, there is nothing in that. But, you
Amazing.
know, it's what it is, and I've got the tell to tell.
I like
so.
it. You know what?
Do
You're
you know what?
brave.
It's got more flavour than you think.
What, the
There was-
mould?
there
Is the
was-
mould really adding to it?
Yeah, there was no crunch because it was that gone off. But it was, there was flavour.
Thank you, Lucy.
I
Thank
guess
you
the
for-
salt sort of
Yeah.
disinfects it. a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
That's nice.
I told
Well,
myself that, yeah.
I really hope that you've all improved your cooking skills since that moment.
Yeah.
I really hope that you get nutritious food. I really hope that Ben is actually eating food.
No comment.
Okay, we'll send you some food. But yeah, again, thank you so much for joining. And
Thanks for having us.
to anyone that's listening or watching, thank you so much for joining. Unfortunately, this is all that we have, all the time that we have today. I'm sure many of you have questions that did not get answered in today's panel. You can always ask us questions online. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Uni of Glos and TikTok. Just drop us a DM. Let us know what the 411 is, and we'll help you. Thank you guys for taking the time and
Yeah, it's
joining me
been
today.
great.
I really hope
Apart
that
from
you enjoyed it.
Pepper story, it's been alright.
Yeah, the pepper story will
You'll
go
be
down in
scarred for
history.
life now.
And yeah, we appreciate your insight into what life is like at UOG. You've been great. So what we like to end each episode with is like a little Cbeebies moment. We've discussed it. So if you, on three, would like to wave to that camera, that would be great. So yeah, 1, 2, 3. Bye. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye.